Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And my name is Alexis Jeffers, and of course, I'm here for the edition, or this week's edition of On Point. We're here every Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And as I have been saying all the time, I come here to spend my luncheon break with you and a whole hour. And then when I'm done and I'm hungry, I just go and get something to eat. So it's always a pleasure coming here, and I want to start off by saying good afternoon once again to the listeners here on Nevis, listeners on St. Kitts, listeners within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Of course, we have listeners who are now gravitating to this show. They are learning of this show On Point, and they are now making it their business to tune in. So I want to shout up all listeners down there in St. Martin, both French and Dutch St. Martin. Also St. Eustatius, Sabre, the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. Of course, we have listeners in the United States from the East Coast all over to the West Coast. And indeed, persons on the East Coast are experiencing lunch at this time or enjoying their lunch. Indeed, we have persons who are now tuned in all over Europe, especially in the United Kingdom. Well, I want to say good afternoon to those who are tuned in at this point in time. We welcome you. And indeed, we can go all the way over to Asia, the Republic of China, Taiwan. We have persons from the Federation who are there and follow what is happening in the Federation closely. Of course, they have that inherent connection to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, because here is where they're from, so they want to know what is going on, and I welcome them as well. It is what, 1:05 here now on a Friday afternoon, so it's 1:05 in the morning, Saturday morning, that is, in Taiwan. Well, if you're up and about, I say good morning to you. It is indeed my pleasure, as I always say, to come here and just have, a conversation with you, the people who have tuned in. And this afternoon, I just want to start by, as usual, we would spend some time to send out greetings and so forth. So I first want to start on the condolence side of it, because I understand we have lost quite a number of persons in recent times. But I want to say and express my condolences to the Jones family over there in Libert Hill. They would have lost a brother who was living in New York. I don't know him, but my understanding is that the funeral is tomorrow afternoon. They're at the Rehoboth Church in Libert Hill. So those of us who can go and lend our support to the family, because most times we attend funerals, it's either for the departed or it is to lend support and show our, our support, that is, to the grieving family, and that is a good thing to do. So we'll all go out and support tomorrow afternoon over there at the Rehoboth Church of God. We would have lost someone who I worked with some years ago at TDC as well, that is Mr. Kennedy Stanley. He passed away, I believe it was last Sunday. So I want to express my condolences to the entire family over there at Nisbet Settlement, Mrs. Stanley, Nurse Stanley, that is, and all of the children who are grieving at this time, and the entire family. Kennedy would have lived at some point in Brownhill as well, so at least the community over there in Brownhill would know Kennedy Stanley well. We call him as a nickname Blackfelt. He was a mechanic there at TDC at the point in time when I managed the TDC rentals, and we worked together to ensure that the services that we needed to render to the clients was done. I want to say may his soul rest in peace, and of course he would have completed his tour of duty, and we wish the family well, and may his soul rest in peace, like I said. I also want at this point in time to just say all those grieving families out there, we are, we want to share in your grief, and we also want to say how saddened we are. But of course, when it's all said and done, and I always say it, that there is a cycle to life. You're born, you live, and you die. It is just a cycle that we all have to go through. We who are now living, we are enjoying life, whether it's a challenging life or beautiful, wonderful life. We're experiencing life at this point in time. But there will come a time no if, no butter maybe about that. But we just have to acknowledge that these cycles are what we go through from time to time, and persons would have gone to the great beyond already. And that's pretty much what I want to say about that. But put that aside. The persons who are hospitalized, I say, get well soon so that you can come out and be a part of the community as well again and continue to contribute to the overall development of the island of Nevis. Of course, on a more lighter note, let me say happy birthday to my good friend over there in Brooklyn, Glenda Whitaker. Glenda, good afternoon and happy birthday to you. I hope you're having an awesome, a phenomenal, a wonderful birthday. You know, every time a birthday rolls around, you have to enjoy it like it's the last. So whatever your heart desired today, I want you to go ahead and do that. Enjoy this day and enjoy the rest of the month at least. Well, the month is out. Well, it will be done tonight. But that's okay. You can enjoy yourself for the rest of the year, God's willing. Because birthdays are to be enjoyed. And when you're in a birth year, it is certainly a phenomenal thing that you'll want to enjoy. So enjoy to the max. And I'll come and see you, Glenda. I think I have a bottle of something for you just to sip on. Nothing with alcohol, because I don't think you drink alcohol. But I'll have something to savor and to enjoy. So until then, I'll catch up with you at some point later. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now experiencing a mango festival here on the island of Nevis. Of course, we would have just come out of music festival. By all accounts, everyone had a wonderful time for music festival. So it's now on to mango festival, which started this morning over there at Dewdrop, there on Westbury Road. I went there for the opening, and I had to leave to come here, but they were in the process of having some cooking exhibition there. After that, the crowd would go down to Indian Castle, down at the Fruit Orchard. That is that wonderful project that we started there 2 years ago. So I'll speak more about that, but that's where the activities go later, or just about now, and it goes down until, I believe, about 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. So if you can make your way down there, I would say do so, and go down and see what is transpiring. They have some activities planned for this afternoon, and also if it just to go there and see what the facility is like, I invite you to do so. And it will be something that you will not forget. So go on down and enjoy. Now, over the weekend, the festival continues tomorrow and Sunday. Sunday, the big event will be down there at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. That is the day when you have many different dishes that are made with mangoes infused in them. And then you'll have your chance to enjoy, but it comes at a price. I believe you should just check the Nevis Tourism Authority website, and they'll give you all the details. I don't have those details before me, because I believe they've done an excellent job of marketing so far. So most of you would have heard what is happening over the weekend. So tomorrow night is a dinner up at Mount Nevis that I can recall, and then on Sunday the action is down at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. This is the 9th year of this particular event, and believe me, it has grown over the years. It has tremendous potential though, and I do believe that some tweaking as you go along would certainly make it even bigger. But coming on the heels of music festival, it is a challenge, of course, yes, but we have different persons who would want to savor both activities. So some will prefer music festival, and some no doubt would prefer to attend the mango festival. So either which way, if persons come into the federation and stay for the mango festival, that's a good thing too. But some will just come for either or. That being said, we are carving out our own little niche here with this mango festival. And of course, this past week there have been talk about all sorts of things mango. Mangoes have been on everyone's lips this week. Not in terms of eating, but in terms of talking. We've heard about the many different varieties of mangoes that exist here on the island of Nevis. We have heard discussions as to what is the sweetest mango and the one that people prefer to savor. But most mangoes are tasty, of course. Some are more tasty than the other. but indeed everyone would have their preference or preferences in terms of what mango they'll prefer to consume. Here on the island of Nevis, of course, we are always been told, or we've always been told, that the Amrapali is one of the best varieties here on the island of Nevis. Well, that is debatable, and you'll have debates from time to time, but I'll leave it as that. We don't have any time this afternoon to go into the slow things about mangoes that will try and convince some of you out there which is the best. But all I'll say is that all in all, Nevis possesses some of the most tasty, the sweetest mangoes. And of course, anytime you come to Nevis, you can't leave Nevis without having some of our mangoes. Anyway, our friends and colleagues over on St. Kitts always want a box of mangoes sent to St. Kitts because they know the best comes out of Nevis, of course. And that being said, mango continue to be one of those major fruits that are produced here on the island of Nevis. I will say to you as well that somewhere around 4 or 5 years ago, we invested in a mango pulping machine up there at the agro processing unit. I want to thank the Augustine Merchant for his assistance in terms of directing us to the source to purchase that particular machine. We bought it in India. It wasn't expensive either. I believe it cost just over $2,000 US, and that would have made life so much easier for the workers up there at the agro processing unit, in that we have been able to pulp a large amount of mangoes and store that pulp. So throughout the entire year, we have pulp up there available to the general public at the agro processing unit. Sometimes we're out of storage, but we have gone beyond that and we have purchased additional storage capacity up there. So I believe they're able to store thousands of pounds of pulp up there every year. And sometimes we get weary in well-doing, and sometimes I would go and tell them, listen, there are mangoes over in Cadesby, go and get some. They're all out there on the ground, you know. Just pulp it and leave it there, and it will be sold. And speaking of selling, we have sold mango pulps to persons in St. Martin, persons in Anguilla, persons who come to the island, say for example from St. Eustatius, will collect mango pulp and take it back with them, because of course we know mango pulp is used for making mango drink, and also mango ice cream and smoothies, that kind of thing. So it is a healthy product. And as we speak about eating local, that is something local and healthy and nutritious. So at least we continue to do mango pulping up there. And of course, over time, we just have to increase the capacity that we have in terms of pulping more and making sure that we can find additional markets for our pulp. And I keep saying we because I'm speaking as if I'm still there, but I'm still a part of what goes on in agriculture, because agriculture is near and dear to me, because after 10 years of being the Minister of Agriculture, indeed you would have had to infuse yourself into the ministry and department to ensure that you're putting the necessary policies in place to ensure that we achieve what we set out to achieve, and that is food security and sustainability here on the island of Nevis. I think we're on the road to that. We'll never be sustainable in every particular food type or fruit type, for example, but at least we do have a comparative advantage in certain areas, and we just have to hone our skills and lend the support to those who are the trailblazers in the sector. Those are farmers. They are the ones who go out there and do the work, and then of course we find the market for them if they have difficulties in that regard. So Mango Festival is well on, and come on over if you're in St. Kitts and you're listening. Come on over and enjoy this weekend with us. Indeed, like I said, Sunday will be the massive event down there at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. And indeed, the more the merrier, the more sales, and the more will be there for you to savor as well. So I think I've done a good job there. But let me go back to the Indian Castle fruit orchard for a little bit. I was down there yesterday, took a tour as I usually do, walk around the facility and just burn off some sweat, because it's 35 acres, and when I start walking and walk briskly and also do a little bit of jogging as well, it is really a treat to go down there. You get that fresh breeze off of the ocean. That's the Atlantic Ocean down there at Indian Castle. So it's a really nice environment to be. And indeed, if I was to ask to go somewhere and work, I'll say, send me to Indian Castle, because the breeze is so refreshing down there. But more than that though, I am pleased with the effort that is being exerted down there by all of the workers, starting with the supervisor, that's Ronald King, Mr. Banky, and also Woodis and all of the other persons who down there who go to work every day. There's some landscapers down there, and their weed eaters are always making some noise down there. And it's not useless noise, it's good noise, because they're cutting grass, making sure they have the place well manicured. And when you go down there, it is a sight to behold. You know, sometimes you have a large acreage of land and it run wild on you. You know, the grass is overgrown. I will tell you that these guys do a phenomenal job. And it translates into healthy vegetation down there, because when you look at the soursop, you look at the apple trees, you look at the coconut trees, you look at the amripali. We have amripali down there too, you know. And while I touch on that, I want to thank Mr. Gilbert Maynard over there in Jessup's. He was the one who sold us, I think it was about almost 40 trees. And by and large, all of them are growing down there. When you go down this afternoon and you get into the gate, cast your eyes to the left-hand side of the property. Just inside the gate on your left-hand side, you'll see those amripali trees coming up nicely. At some point, you'll be able to go down there in the future and sit under the mango tree and consume as much as you want. Eat your heart to your heart content. But those trees are looking healthy, the mango trees, that is. The banana trees, of course, they're producing. You'll see some banana trees there as well too. The gooseberry is like a forest down there with those gooseberry trees. And also the pomegranate and citrus and guava. Listen, it is, I can speak all afternoon about it, but I want you to do me the favor. Stop me from talking and go on down, because once you go down, you'll do the talking instead, in terms of relating to the general public what you see down there, or what you would have seen down there. So I encourage one and all to go down. And what we are seeking to do and seeking to accomplish is to monetize what is going on down there, in terms of ensuring there is some revenue generated by the government. So I have said before that we have over 4,000 jelly trees down there. And I did say, if you were to have at least 2,000 coconut trees producing $1,000 per month, then you're looking at $2 million easily in the sale of jelly and jelly water. Yeah, I want to see the day comes. I want to be around when the day comes, I should say, when we are bottling our own water, jelly water that is, and finding its way into the supermarkets here on the island of Nevis. I see jelly water come here in plastic bottles from all the way in Trinidad and Puerto Rico and Jamaica and other places. I want to say that if you were to produce, or if we were to produce enough jelly water here, we can see what is called import substitution taking place, whereby we are substituting the import with locally produced jelly water, which will be much more healthy. It will be fresher as well, because you can it today or you bottle it today, and by today you're drinking, or by tomorrow. So that being said, that is the thinking for that particular facility, where we're able to produce enough jelly water to supply the entire island of Nevis and beyond. Because we're not stopping there also. We have cleaned another 30 acres thereabout, just I will say south, or not south, north of that particular property. Just before you get over the gut to the existing property, you will see some clearing that has been done. We have the fencing wire already. Very soon and shortly we'll go ahead and fence up that additional acreage and do some more planting as well. We'll plant just about the same amount of coconut trees. And then of course you have these two plots of lands producing, then it is just amazing what we can accomplish as a result. So there are good things in the works for the Indian Castle area. I would have heard persons said in the past, playing their politics of course, say we plant out all of these palm trees down there. But yes, coconut trees are part of the palm family, yes. But these are palm trees that are going to produce and are already producing, because when I got down there yesterday, I saw quite a number of them fruiting already, meaning that they've thrown out those locks, as we say, that we will get our jelly soon. We are hoping that before the end of the year, we are seeing jelly down there in Indian Castle. So I wish the project well. I wish everyone well. The minister and all those involved continue to press on, because that was a vision of the cabinet of the Nevis Island administration. Yes, I'll get the credit because I was the executing minister, but of course it was a buy-in that I had from the entire cabinet. And when we were visited in 2020 by COVID-19, we sought to look at ways in which we can mitigate some of the challenges of the future in the event we have another situation like a worldwide pandemic, or if we are unable to get certain items being imported here on the island of Nevis. And jelly water we saw as one of those things that have been heavily consumed here by the people of Nevis, and we figure that is a way of us to prevent some of these commodities from coming in from the various islands closest to us and beyond. So that is a project that is going to continue with the work of the Ministry and Department of Agriculture and all those who are involved. So I wish that project well. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get out of Mango Festival shortly, and then we head into Culturama. And of course, Culturama, we are celebrating the 49th edition this year. Next year, of course, we're already looking beyond this year, but I don't like that because we are taking it step by step. You have to take it step by step. So this year is the 49th. So I'm not going to talk about the 50th. When we get there, we know it will be grand and whatever, but we want to get people turned on to the 49th edition, because this year is going to be just as good as any other year. And we want our citizens abroad to make your plans. It's still early. This is the 30th of June. You have an entire month, thereabout, or less than a month, to make your plans to come. Come home, spend the time with your family, spend time with your friends, and enjoy Culturama 49. They have had the selection of queen contestants. The Calypsonians have already produced some calypsos. As a matter of fact, they have had a calypso tent over there at Old House Cafe, I believe 2 Sundays ago or last Sunday sometime. But this coming Sunday, they are up at 869. That's that new bar up there by the gas station in Gingerland. And indeed, all are welcome to go and hear some of the new calypsos. Of course, there are troops out there preparing. But I want to speak specifically about what I am normally spearheading for Culturama, and that is the Herbert Beach Affair. Every week I come, I'm going to talk about it. So bear with me. There's a reason why I speak about it every time I come, because I'm advertising it, of course, but I also want persons to understand that this activity is one that we have grown accustomed to for the last 24 years. So this is the 24th year of hosting that program, that activity, and this year it will be just as good as all of the others. But rather this year we are injecting something new, and that is we are having a bingo over there on the night of August 7th. Many may ask how you'll get that done. We'll get it done with all of the new technologies that are available to us here on the island of Nevis and throughout the world. We are going to find a way to get it done. We'll put up a jumbo screen, one of these big screens, and that would display all of the balls that with the numbers that will pop out of the machine, or whatever the case might be. I have someone working on that and getting it right for me so that we can have that without much interruption. But someone will be able to win $10,000 as the main jackpot, and then you'll have 5 additional games at $1,000 each. So it is a purse of $15,000. So we want people to keep that in mind, and here's what can be done with that money. One, if you're visiting for the Culturama, you can win $10,000, for example, or you can win the entire $15,000, because when you purchase a card, for what I understand, that card is good for all of the games. So you win $15,000, you can do a couple of things. One, you can actually recover what you would have spent to come to Nevis for the festival. You can also, on the Wednesday morning, go to the bank, cash your check, and then go to the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation and tell them I'm looking for a piece of land. So I'm applying for a piece of land and putting down some money right now on that piece of land so that I have a piece of investment or an investment in my island. So that is a huge investment to make. You invest $1 and then you're coming out with $15,000, for example. I think it would be more than worth it in the end. That also is one way of looking at it. Or if you just want the money to pay off some debt, you can certainly do that. Or you just want to take your friends on some excursion and enjoy it. You do whatever you want with it. But this is how you want to look at it. You're investing $100 to buy a card, and then with that investment, you win some monies, and then you invest it in whatever means you want to. Some may want to buy a little car. So it would be worth it in the end. But this is our way of saying, listen, in these hard times, and these difficult times, you put aside $100 and you go and you buy a card, and chances are you can walk away with a couple $1,000s there. And that in and of itself is a very good reason for coming over there on August 7th to enjoy music, enjoy food, and also leave with the enjoyment and satisfaction that you would have won some money. So that is something we'll talk about more when the time comes as well. So I'll leave that for now and just go on quickly to I realize that a lot of talk is still out there. Every day and every week you hear talk about the Oale water taxi facility. I believe the premier was here on Wednesday night and he gave an idea as to how many persons would have gone across to St. Kitts and come back to Davis. I don't have the breakdown with me, but I believe it was somewhere over 8,000 persons who would have moved back and forth between St. Kitts and Nevis over the music festival weekend. Now, I want to say to everyone, I say to the general public, listen, those who are talking about the pier or the Oale water taxi facility can continue talking, because I could talk more than them about it anyway. So every time they talk, I come back and I talk too. And every time they talk, I come back and talk some more. Because when it's all said and done, that water taxi facility was visionary on the part of the Nevis Island administration, spearheaded by your CCM party. And when some didn't want it to be constructed, we said it must be constructed because there are some huge advantages and some benefits to be derived. You hear what happened over the music festival weekend? That is what we were thinking about when we sought to construct that facility. I'll say to you, there are persons who didn't want it built. There was a plan sitting down in government for the construction of a pier down at Cotton Ground. And that was going to be a private pier. And we looked at it and said, no. If that is the case, then you'll have a similar situation to what exists over there at the Seabridge, where that private pier was constructed. I call it private because the government is not involved in it in any shape or form. So you have that facility and only one player is in town over there at the Seabridge. And the same thing was contemplated down at the bottom of Cotton Ground. One player. So imagine one player in town owning all of the boats, owning all of the revenue that is to be derived. Nothing is going into the pockets of the average Nevisian. We as a government looked at it and we said no. I'm going to use this phrase. Tut, Mun, Sam and Bagay, if they want to invest in a water taxi facility, we said let Nevisians. Let Nevisians do that and let Nevisians benefit from it. And that is why the NIA would have gone about purchasing that property to construct that pier. Now you'd have heard me say from time to time we had challenges, many challenges. One of the challenges we had was meeting the requirement of the planning department. Every time you do one of these developments, they said to conduct an EIA. You know what that means? It means environmental impact assessment. So you hear Janice talking about the pier all the time. Let me tell you, Janice and I spoke about that EIA. She's one who is trained in that area. She did an EIA down there for the Malcolm Gishard Park. But even prior to that, I would have approached her in 2016, I think it was, or 17, whenever we started the process. She told me she didn't have any time. Bluntly, she didn't have any time for that. But I understood what was at play. I told you all a pier was contemplated to be built down at the bottom of Cotton Ground. But let's leave that, because I told her then, right over there at Newcastle on the beach, I tell her, listen, Janice, whether you're going to do the EIA or not, I'm going to get the pay bill, one way or the other. And that's just me as a person. Nothing normally dissuades me from pressing on to get things done for the island of Nevis and for the people of Nevis. So when she said she didn't have any time to conduct an EIA or compile or draft or put together an EIA, whatever language you want to use, I said, okay, no problem. I'm going to go searching. I'm going to go searching because an EIA had to be produced. So what I did, I called St. Kitts, a counterpart of mine down at Public Works in St. Kitts. Yeah? And he directed me to two persons. And he told me, call this person first, who was Mr. Patrick Williams. And I called him. Patrick Williams had his, oh God bless his soul, he's now departed. But he had his challenges. But he told me he'll undertake it. He did undertake it. And we paid him, I believe it was $25,000. I believe EIA sometimes run much more than that. But anyway, he undertook it for us. And we were able to meet the requirements of the planning department. So when you hear them talking about the peer every week and every month, and for the past couple of years, it's all about the peer. But every day they're on the peer, you know. Walking, going across, stepping mighty and high. Going to St. Kitts and coming back. The same peer that they criticize every single day, every single week, every single month, and every single year since it has been there. But we got the job done. But Janice has come since. And you know why she said? She ain't had no time because she wasn't going to put her effort behind a project like that. Or words to that effect. She has said it. Yeah? But we understood why the effort was not being made. And I don't really care about that now because the PA is over there functioning. And the reason why I'm so happy that we are built this way in terms of getting the job done is because when I see what is happening over there, I told you last week, and I'm going to repeat again, almost 100,000 persons set foot on that pier between January to the end of March this year. And based on those numbers, you can only say it's going to get better. It has gotten better over the years. And you know, a lot of things have gotten better over there because we have now cleaned up the parking area. It is not far from being finished anyway. We intend to make it a hard surface with the necessary parking slots. And then, of course, people would have to understand that there will be a small fee, nominal fee or whatever fees will be implemented by the NIA for the usage of that particular facility. But this is all in an effort to make things safer and much more fluid over there at Ouali. And when you look at what is taking place now, the taxi operators are off the road. When you come around the corner from Gin Shop heading to the north, come around the corner, it used to be congested before. You go over there now and the way's clear. Because bit by bit we are making the necessary adjustments to ensure that we are providing a safe environment out there. And speaking of safe environment, we continue to implore upon our operators to continue to ply your trade in a safe way. If you're to be safe, all of the passengers will be safe, and of course, that will translate into revenue for you in the future to come. And we want our people to continue to make money. Here's what happens when those operators make money. They're employing people, and those persons then get a paycheck. I don't know if they're paid fortnightly or monthly, but they take that money, pay their bills, pay their mortgages, for example, send their children to school, but before all that they have to pay Social Security. So that is adding to the life of Social Security in terms of ensuring that there's some sustainability in Social Security. And of course, they go to our shops and bars and they go all up and down Nevis and spend money. Some of them have the girls they give some money to, you know, so it's money. So they have persons who depend on them and they spend their money and it goes back into the economy. So there's that cyclical effect in terms of things going to, money going to the economy. All of the merchants out there who depend on them then take that money and purchase raw material, purchase goods, and then the cycle continues. So you got to understand what these investments are about. These are long-term investment with long-term payoff. And it is being done to the benefit of not just one, not just two, but multiple people, an entire island. And that is why I'm so proud and I want to give the entire CCM party in government for bringing about this particular investment. And like I tell you, they could talk about the pier every day. I will come and talk about it every other day. or a whole week, because we can talk about it. It's not quite finished yet. That is the bottom line. It's being done in phases. What we intended to do is being used at this point. And what we intend to do in the future will have additional benefits to be derived by the people of Nevis, because there are some small units that will be built over there for persons to sell various items, food items that is. So you'll hear more about that as you go. So I continue to wish that facility well. I was there just a while ago, maybe about an hour ago. They're now putting in the windows into the building that is being reconstructed, renovated. Some lovely windows. When we take down that barricade, you'll see what a wonderful job the contractor has done in terms of the final product when you see it come a few weeks from now or whenever it's completed. I was told that the effort is to try and get it completed by Culturama. That is, you know, it may or may not happen, but that's okay. It will be completed in time to be used, and to be used this year. So I leave it as that for now. So we continue to do our best over there, and that is one of the investments in Nevis that will continue to pay dividends for years and years to come. I raised the question last week. Tell me one investment that the NRP would have, one investment they would have made that is sustainable to the point where we can say it's providing jobs and providing revenue for the island of Nevis. Yes, they built some roads. Yes, they built some houses. Yes, they would have built some community centers. But that facility over there at Ouali is an investment that will continue to pay dividends every single day from here on in. Every single day, every single week, every single month, and every single year to come. So that is investment. You don't invest for a day or two. You invest for the future. And that is what we have done. Well, we'll leave that for now. But let's go on to something else quickly, because I realize an hour can run out in no time. Earlier this week, on Tuesday, we had the groundbreaking ceremony for the poultry processing plant up there at Prospect, just below the abattoir. And that project was one that started somewhere around 2020 in terms of doing the necessary consultation with potential persons who were interested, also doing some groundwork in terms of sourcing the machinery, and also figuring out where exactly we wanted to put this plant, and additionally seeking to put it in place the necessary packages that we feel will be important to ensure that Nevisians can invest in this particular area. Now, from the get-go, I want to say that plant, the machinery for that plant, the processing plant, and also the machinery that is there to cut the chicken into different parts. The research was done, but also I want to give credit to Mr. Alberic Manners. We all know Alberic Manners. He has been in the poultry business for many, many years. When I spoke to him via telephone, I told him what we were looking for, and he went searching, and he came across this particular company in England and gave me the link to that company. So what I'm doing here is to give credit where it's due, because, you know, they'll say the Minister Jeffers got these things, the Minister Jeffers, but Minister Jeffers couldn't have done it by himself. Minister Jeffers would have had to go and seek the assistance of those who had the knowledge and the expertise. And therefore, I want to thank Alberic. If you're listening, you're somewhere there in the Midwest in the United States. I forgot what state you're in, but anyway, someone will tell you I call your name on my program here on Point. So since we are on Point, I'm calling your name, Alberic. Thank you for your assistance in that regard. And I want to say to you that through your help and instrumentality, we now have the equipment right here at Long Point. I understand they're being stored there by the Port Authority, because indeed when you move them, you want to move them straight to the facility. Yeah, so they're there, and we were able to spend well over $200,000 to procure those equipment. But someone asks, well, how do I get involved, or what is involved for myself or you as a potential farmer, poultry farmer? Well, the cabinet would have met, and we determined that in order for this particular industry to thrive, it is expensive, first of all, to get into, because indeed the feed is expensive and you have to buy a large quantity of feed. the equipment that you'll probably need, along with building material and so forth. You also need to move items such as feed to your farm. So we figure that we need to incentivize persons to get involved. Because in the United States and those larger countries like Brazil, for example, that is a large producer of poultry products, trust me when I tell you the government play their part in terms of incentivizing their farmers to get them to grow these birds and to ensure that they have enough to supply their market and also send to all markets. So they're being incentivized, and no matter what the World Trade Organization might say about subsidies, they're doing it all throughout the world. You go to Ukraine, you go to Russia, you go to India, you go to wherever. Government play a major role in incentivizing farmers so that they can produce, and so produce in the quantities that they can then supply the local market and also export, because export is a major part of any country's revenue base in terms of the foreign exchange that you can derive from such. So we said we need to incentivize all farmers here as well. Poultry farmers, that is broiler producing farmers. So what we said, we put together a package. The package would include items such as duty-free concession on feed for up to 5 years. Now we are saying 5 years, but it can possibly go beyond. But we are saying at least for the first 5 years, when you're in that incubator stage, trying to find your way in that particular industry or this particular industry, we're saying 5 years. So what I'm telling you here now, or what I would say to you, these incentives package is for the first 5 years, and thereafter, of course, it will be reevaluated. And indeed, my thinking is, if it's working, why change it? But I'll leave that for now. We'll see what happens in 5 years. But let's go over that. Duty-free concession on feed for 5 years. Duty-free concession on building material and equipment. And when I say building materials, I mean the materials that you will procure to construct your barns. Some will say pens, but we say barns. And also any other equipment that you'll need, and also material for your storage facility and the like. So you'll get concession for 5 years. You'll also get duty-free concession on the appropriate vehicle. The appropriate vehicle to be used in that particular business. Now, you cannot expect to import ALEXIS to use with your poultry business. It has to be something like a pickup or a utility vehicle that can transport your feed, transport other material, and keep in mind that in some cases you'll have to be transporting your birds to the processing facility. Also, there'll be waiver on all corporate taxes for 5 years. Any taxes that you need to pay will be waived for 5 years. You'll have concession on water, concession on electricity. But to receive all this, you must be a bona fide farmer, a bona fide poultry farmer. And why I say that is because you'll have to register with the Department of Agriculture. They'll provide you with your necessary card, an identification card that is, to ensure that you are duly qualified. Some may say, if you're just starting, how can you be seen as a bona fide farmer? Well, if you come with a serious plan to the government and say that you're willing to get into the industry, and here is your plan, and here is your financing, and here's all that you need to get started, then of course the government will play their part with you, and these concessions will be available to you. But I will say to all of you who are interested to seek out the Department of Agriculture. They will have all of the necessary policy documents pertaining to this particular project. Now, I also want to say to you that this business is one that we believe can thrive with the right input. And that is why we have gone even further and said that we have procured over 60 acres of lands down there at Webb's Estate. Not everyone will be able to access those lands, and not everyone will be going down there to conduct or undertake the raising of broilers down there, because that area will be mapped out in such a way whereby there's just a certain number of broiler producers who will occupy land down there. So all that will be said to you. We'll have some more consultations with potential farmers. Workshops and training will be given as well too. And as I say, training, there is indeed an opportunity for young men and young women to go abroad now to get trained in veterinary services. We'll need a lot of veterinarians in this particular area, because of course the health of the birds are important, because we want to be able to produce birds that are healthy and birds that will ensure that the food chain remains clear and clean of any potential negative impacts to our persons here on the island of Nevis who would consume our local chicken. So those things are key and important. So I want to just go over those again. You'll have duty-free concession on feed for 5 years, duty-free concession on building materials and equipment for 5 years, duty-free concession on the appropriate vehicle to be used within the business for one per year over a 5-year period, and also waiver on all corporate taxes for 5 years. Indeed, you'll have concession on water and electricity, and you must be a bona fide farmer to benefit from all this. Some persons, I'm sure, will raise their birds in their backyard, I'm sure, or wherever they have a piece of land, but you must be a bona fide farmer to benefit from this particular package of concession. So the government will play its part, and indeed more information as we go along. There'll be more information that will be imparted, and indeed once this information is imparted, you will then be the ones to figure out where you want to go and how large of an investment you want to make. But the more the merrier, because we are hoping to make a significant dent over the next 5 to 10 years in the importation of chicken into the island of Nevis, chicken and chicken parts. Based on the numbers we are seeing, is that over the last 5 years there have been over $80 million worth of import of chicken and chicken parts into the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So just imagine you're minimizing your import by reducing that import bill by 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50% will take you to 40 million, sorry. So indeed you can see on an incremental basis, if you were to do that in an incremental way, 10% and up, then you realize that we can make a dent over the next 5, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, because how we start is not how we expect to end, or expect this to be in 20 years. Once we were, whoever is there to carry on the legacy, then we're hoping that we'll have a massive processing plant here at some point. It can be done, and it will be done with the right mindset, because Jamaica, you have Jamaica broilers, you also have best dressed chicken coming here from Jamaica. They have done things in Jamaica to ensure that that particular industry is sustainable, and it has grown to the point where they're shipping throughout the Caribbean. So who say we can't do it from here in Nevis? Those who are the naysayers may say that, but persons like me, who is a positive thinker, person like me who believe that we can. There was this slogan, yes we can. I think that was coined by Barack Obama when he was seeking the presidency in the United States some years ago. Yes we can. I say yes we can, and yes we will, with the right mindset, because this is a way for many of you out there who are interested to earn an additional income. But let me say from the get-go, it won't be easy. It involves hard work, but hard work does pay off. And those of you who think that you can just produce some birds in 8 weeks just like that, it requires hard work and many hours to be exerted on your business. And if you were to do that, you will be successful. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just about 10 minutes before we get out of here. But quickly, I want to say to us, we are hearing a lot of things about the government being taken to court. I understand Mark Brantley, the Honorable Mark Brantley, the Honorable Spencer Brantley were taken to court recently. Oh well, the court door is open for everybody. I want to say to all of you out there, I know a little thing about courthouse, because since 2014 until I left government, I was taken to court every week every month and every single year while I was in government. Mine, I didn't take anybody to court, you know. Not me personally, not me as a minister either. But I was taken to court and I decided that the people of Nevis, I don't talk a lot about it, and I still won't talk a lot about it here today because there's still cases pending, I'm sure. But I will say to you, we have gone to court, whether in the capacity of Minister of Agriculture or the minister responsible for communications and works. And you see these NRP lawyers out there? Boy, they're hawkish. It seems like they want to get at every CCM minister, every ministry of government, they want to get at those ministries as well. But there's one thing about us as a government and as a party in government. I said it before that we are a resilient party. We don't give up easily. And I know I would have stuck to my belief over the last, almost 10 years while I was there. Won some, lost some, won on appeal, and there are cases that I believe were bound to go to the Privy Council, but they were struck down. I remember there was a case where this gentleman wanted $2 million from the corporation. $2 million. And I said, no, can't happen. Fought the case, lost at the first instance down there at the High Court. And when I was told by some legal experts that you didn't have a chance to win on appeal, I asked the lawyer then, what's his name? Terence Byron. Counsel, are you prepared to go and appeal this case? He said, sure, Mr. Minister. I said, well, let's go. Let's go. I'm prepared to go. We went and we appealed the case, and we won an appeal. We won an appeal. And then the individual would have then gone and, gone to the Court of Appeal, applied to the Court of Appeal to go to the Privy Council to appeal the judgment that we won an appeal. But lo and behold, last year, March, the appeals court struck that down and said, get out of here with your foolishness. Go where you're going with your matter, yeah? And that is the end of that. So what happened there? We saved the entire island of Nevis, $2 million thereabout. We saved the government the indignity of having to fork out $2 million. And I am proud of that. And I believe every citizen should be proud when your government decides to stand up against those who have one intention, and that is to fleece the government of what it has. So when you hear them going to court and taking people to court these days, I know I've gone to court and sat on the stands, as they say, and being questioned by NRP lawyers for 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And then ultimately the judge will say, counsel, you asked that question 1 hour ago. Let's move on. And then they will throw up their hand and say, I have no further question, and move on. Got to stick with them. So you don't give up and you don't give in easily, because that is what they want to happen. So now they're up and down cussing the judge, the resident judge. I leave the judge alone. The judge is doing his work. The judge is following the law. And I don't know why some people... Now, so for example, I've had these difficult times. You ever hear me cuss a judge anywhere? Alexis Jeffers, you ever hear him anywhere on the street, on the airwave? The judges have their work to do. Lawyers have their work to do. And as I said before, lawyers win some, they lose some. And that is the point about the justice system. Void of the justice system, what would you have here in Nevis? What would you have in the Federation? What would you have in the world? Vigilante justice? That is not what we want. We are seeking to have justice in this island. And when you go and take off people's name off of a voters list and expect a judge to turn his eyes or her eyes or frown on it, not frown, but turn a blind eye to it, that can't be right. How do you expect that to happen? So when a judge rules against you in that regard, you can't cuss a judge, because it was wrong in the first place. It was wrong. So you're coming up with all kind of schemes now to say you're going court for what? Frivolity, I call it. But I say to Minister Brand and the Premier, Mark Brantley, stick to your guns. Press on and pursue. When they bring a matter, you make sure you find the courthouse door too and go and defend your matter, yeah? Because I think somebody's looking for easy money. You know, when you don't show up in court, they say they win by default. Some of them like to win by default, you know. Sounds big, but it means that you didn't show up and put in a defense. Well, put in your defense. Let the court decide. And I would appeal to all out there who are cussing the judges who come into these jurisdiction. Stop cuss the people. If you go to court with a foolish case, the judge going to tell you you bring foolishness to court. If you go to court with a good case, chances are you will prevail. But your good case might be trumped by someone with a better case. So that is how I want to put it. I don't want to get into anything more than that here because I just laugh at these things. But one thing I can say is that in this lifetime, no matter what comes your way, you have to be ready to stand up and be counted. And if it means that you spend 10 years fighting matters that you feel are unjust, fighting matters that you feel are inconsistent with what the people of Nevis, who you represent on a daily, monthly and yearly basis, if you feel that they are being wronged, then you as a minister of government or their representative have to stand up on their behalf and be counted. And I'm so proud that I was able to do that for the period of time that I was in government. Like I say, I win some, I lose some, but them big cases, $79 million that we would have defended down there in the Court of Appeal. I don't care how they split it, spin it, dice it, $79 million US. We defended that, and it was not paid by the people of Nevis for sure. And of course, I told you about that $2 million that a certain gentleman wanted the NHLDC to pay. And we fought that all the way until it was slapped down by the Court of Appeal. Say he wanted to go to the Privy Council. That sounds big enough, but I tell you, I leave that here. So ladies and gentlemen, I think we're out of time just about. Usually we have just 1 hour. And unless somebody will pay for me to go for more than an hour and include other things in the program, I'm going to stick to my 1 hour and say that this weekend is a weekend for Mango Festival. Mango Festival, you have 3 days of activities. They're going down to Indian Castle this afternoon. Tomorrow evening, I believe the activity would be up there at Mount Nevis Hotel. And then on Sunday, that big event down at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. And before I go, Tuesday is a holiday. Keep that in mind. 4th of July. That sounds like the American Independence Day holiday. But we are having a one-off holiday here in the Federation. The Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Chu, would have determined that we're going to have a holiday in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of CARICOM. So that's just a one-time event, yeah? And so on Tuesday, the NIA will have this fun day down there at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. It is a day where different sporting discipline will be undertaken. Your dominoes, I'm sure, and whatever else. If you all want to do socks and shoes, run and jumping in bags, whatever the children usually do, bring some along. But they'll set up some activities down there, and that will be a nice day to bring your family down to that wonderful park to have a wonderful holiday down there at the Malcolm Gishard Park. Check social media, you'll get more information pertaining to that. And then if you come, then I'll be there as well. So ladies and gentlemen, that's my time. I want to end by saying, let your light so shine before men so that they can see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. I want to thank you very much for listening. Thank you for the support back there as a technician. Thank you for listening. Join me again, God's willing, next Friday at 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. right here on the Caribbean's only powerhouse, Bond Radio, 860 a.m. Have a wonderful afternoon and a great weekend. Thank you very much.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not